Hi, everyone. This is Perspective with Viv podcast. My name is Viv, and welcome to the show. Today's title is Unlocking the Goddess Within Inside the Hidden World of the Orchid with Rocio Aquino and Angel Orengo. So, CEO Aquino and Angel Orengo are the co-founders of For the Highest Good, a storytelling venture dedicated to personal transformation, conscious leadership, and soulful empowerment. With decades of combined experience in media and global business, they bring a unique fusion of professional success and inner purpose to everything they create. Rocio, born in Mexico City and now based in Los Angeles, has led an impressive career in media and advertising sales, working with iconic companies such as Time Magazine, Nickelodeon, Sony Pictures Entertainment, and AE Mundo. Her global journey from Miami to Hong Kong to London has shaped her ability to connect people, ideas, and cultures. Angel, a native of Puerto Rico and a graduate of Cornell University, spent years as a senior executive at Sony Pictures Entertainment, where he led content distribution across Latin America, Asia Pacific, and Europe. With professional experience in over 65 countries, Angel blends sharp business acumen with a deeply personal journey of self-discovery and purpose. Together, Rocio and Angel authored The Orchid, The Secret Code of Modern Goddesses, a best-selling novel recognized by the Los Angeles Tribune for its cultural impact. Their debut work combines fiction, healing, and spiritual wisdom, inviting readers into a sanctuary of self-love, inner power, and emotional transformation. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining me on the show.
Wow, this is incredible, Viv. Really, to be here is an honor. Really.
Obviously, we have the pleasure of seeing you here now on screen, but the energy, it's palpable just through the sound. So thank you very
Oh,
much for it.
it's my
Yes.
pleasure. I knew that it was a special interview, so I was very prepared. I am so ready for this conversation. Thank you both for
Oh, wow.
joining me. The honor is also mine. And let's just dive straight into the questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, could you both share a little bit about your personal journeys and what led you to co-create For the Highest Good?
Yes. So, Viv, I was looking for forgiveness and how to forgive. And I was asking everyone, how do you forgive? How do you forgive around the world? And people sometimes they don't know how to tell you exactly how to do it. You have in me somebody who used to be the world with an empty glass. And Angel was a person who always has a full glass. So, but he didn't have the words to explain how to do it. So finally, after I was able to really forgive and remove that energy from inside of me, was like wow, we need to share this with the world, because I need to go back to those persons who I ask, how do you forgive? And they didn't know. Now I can explain how to forgive.
And for me, Viv, I was in corporate America for 30 years and I wasn't happy. It wasn't enough. And, I was successful. I traveled the world. I had great experiences. So it wasn't about the growth within that environment. It was about the purpose that I carried within. And it was absent. It was lacking. And so it wasn't until I found that. And it was a journey. The biggest journey of my life was the journey inward. And that journey is started to unveil and give reason and meaning. And when you do that, your life changes. And all of a sudden, you're able to make sense of the things externally and internally. And that's why we decided to found For the Highest Good, because there's got to be something else that drives you. And of course, we've known it as purpose. So when we find that and we liberate ourselves, then you really start to live an amazing life.
Thank you for that beautiful answer and the intro. There's so many things that I can take from it. Number one, the feeling of anger in when Rocio was explaining her story, and then you and her when you were saying you just went happy. Sometimes when we follow the path that we think we're meant to follow and do the right thing, like get the job and make the money, we realize that there's something bigger, and that's why purpose gets introduced into our lives. And when we're able to really embark on that inner journey, our outer reality changes, and that's why I believe you two experience and then said, let's write a book.
Yes.
Yes, and let's share it with everyone, for everyone to experience. And because sometimes a lot of people are telling us a message, but we don't listen. or we listen, but we don't understand. And it's like everyone is going to give you the best way possible for you to really break with the condition and to really be free in your mind and in your heart. And it's like, how can I do it? So that was our attempt to do it with the novel.
Thank you for that. So, what drew the two of you together creatively? Did you always know you'd end up writing a book together?
Oh, no, not at all. Um, the truth is, our journey began 25 years ago. We worked with each other at our previous
Sony.
company, at
Yes.
Sony. That's right. And I was her boss, and she was in sales, and I was managing. And really, our first romance was professional. Something happened, Viv, when we met and we were able to go into a presentation with clients, and it was like a dynamic duo. It just flowed tremendously. So there was definitely magic. And of course, the magic became romantic and love. And we had two daughters, traveled together. And for a long time, we were looking to how to work together again because we really enjoyed each other's company at the office.
Yeah.
But somehow it wasn't happening. And so my career went in one direction, her career went in another direction, and eventually motherhood, as it happens in the world, because we're still a very patriarchal society. Mom stays home and takes care of the kids, right? For the most part, that kind of separated us a little bit, even though we were in a marriage and, the ups and downs of a marriage, but always behind our heads. Let's work together. Let's work together. We had no idea what that would look like. Tried many things, failed.
Everything fails because
It's true.
it was supposed to be this.
Yes.
So this journey is, when they say is for you, is clearly for you because you sometimes want to open a door and the door doesn't open. And it's like, how is this possible? And then you go and open another one and it's like, no, neither. So you begin to really try, see, and what has been more aligned really with our purpose in life has been this one. And it's like now we understand how all our paths take us to where we are today.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. Wow, thank you. So let's talk about the book. It's both mystical and grounded, spiritual and pragmatic. What was the initial intention behind blending storytelling with inner work?
So beautiful question.
Because we come from the world of entertainment. We knew the power of storytelling. We saw it. We speak of all our different travels around the world, and we have the privilege of having and knowing many cultures. And everywhere you go, you find a Hollywood movie. You find a story that's being told, right? The world is changing, but for the most part, and for a long time, that was the case. And one of the things that we've realized is that storytelling helps people. Many people depend on television and the screens for their ideas, for their inspiration. And so we knew when we started, one day Rocio gets up, and this is after we've had this profound transition and transformation in our lives. She goes, how do we share this with the world? More people need to feel what we're feeling. And she said, let's do a television show. And because of our background, it kind of made sense. But then we decided that because we had never written before, we had never done a show before, that if we stepped into someone's office to suggest this, that we weren't going to be taken seriously. And so we said, well, what if we wrote a story? Humans have been sitting around the fire for thousands of years, talking, sharing, laughing, discussing their issues. What if we do a story and we tell it from our point of view and we do it as a novel? And that's how we got started. Of course, we were crazy, but something was leading us, Viv, it was something much bigger than us that was saying, this is the way you need to go. And I got your back. And here we are.
Beautiful. So is that part of what made you choose fiction as opposed to self-help or a book that was a spiritual guide? Because I'm sure, yes, this book is a spiritual guide regardless, but the format of fiction makes it more accessible and penetrable to us and our consciousness, which is why I like it especially.
You were, yes.
You're spot on.
You are in the point. And, is how you can give the information that is so crucial in a way that you are so relaxed and really it's not about yourself, it's about somebody else's story, but you begin to see the transition and every transition and everything that they've been living, all the characters, you begin to understand better who you are, your understanding. So, Viv, my mom died in 1992. So at 20 years old, I was really lost. And I was reading a lot of books, but they give you the tools, but they don't show you how to use it. So in the process right now, I have the understanding to explain how to use it. So finally, more people can understand how they can really change their point of view. So that's why it was so important we create a new genre. And the genre is, yes, fiction, but self-help. Because you begin to see, and it's like, I'm learning here. I'm learning and I understanding what they are saying. So was our best intention to really help people to understand in a deeper way.
Yeah. And for me, sorry, Angel, do you want to say something before I say something?
No, please. I want to hear. I want to hear what you have
Okay.
to say.
Okay. Because so I write as well, right? And my writing has very much strong spiritual themes. And I realized I was like, I don't want it to be that I'm writing something that is self-help. I want it to be that I take you on a journey. And in between, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm learning so much. I'm healing as I'm reading this. That's exactly how I felt when I started reading your book. Once I read chapter 1, Maria's story, I was like, oh my goodness, like you're really, really, and it wasn't like you'd gotten into the story already, but that beginning, that setting, telling us how Maria started and she became this person and she embarked on this journey to create the orchid. I was like, this book is going to take everyone on a journey and we're just starting. Then I went into Sophia's story. I think I really, really relate to Sophia because she's angry. Okay, the way she does business is not the way I'll do business, but I could understand it. I could understand where she was coming from. And I was like, I can't wait to see how she transforms. So the storytelling, the description of their lives, the description of their inner world is it's very fluid. It flows and it takes you on that journey. It kind of prepares you that, you're going on a journey and it's going to be something very, very deep because it has the stories of 4 women.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's like you're talking about our children and you're saying your
Mm.
children are so nice. It's so wonderful that you captured it because that was the essence of what we wanted to do. First, we wanted to paint a picture that there's many of us out there and we come in different shapes and sizes and colors and we all have different issues. But to be honest, every one of the issues that everyone is experiencing, they're our own too. And the experience that I don't know if you felt this way, but what people tell us, and this is certainly how we feel, there's a little bit of me in every one of those women. And there's a little bit of those women in me. And so we wanted to create a picture where you, through the example of others, could then put a mirror in front of you that allowed you to then ask questions. And that's all we're sort of hoping, that people ask questions about their lives and the way they want to live them. And if the answer is, I could use some changes in my life. Okay, great. Here's some tools you can use to drive that change forward.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So writing a novel as a duo sounds like either a beautiful dream or a logistical challenge. How did you divide the work? Did one of you focus more on the characters while the other handled structure or tone?
was was both at the same time, was really easy and really difficult,
Hmm.
was a challenge. It's a journey because at one point you know that you want to say something, but really little by little the characters begin to take a
Tell
life
you.
and they begin to tell you what they want to do and what they don't want to do and what is honest. So really has been so fantastic experience because what I've been telling everyone is, come on, guys, let's be comfortable in the uncomfortable, because there is when you expand and thrive, like a really expand the where you are. So some days, believe me, he was writing, and it was, for me, was so difficult to stay awake. And another times I was passing for the same experience that the characters were having, and he was looking at me like like a witnessing the transformation.
Wow.
Something was really interesting. First, we did have a lot of experience because of our backgrounds, right? So I knew, even though our experiences in sales, we had seen what creative workshops, we had seen writers' rooms and what they look like. So the moment that we decided to write a book, we said it has to be a writer's room. So we need help. We can't do this alone. This is a collaborative. So it was Rocio and myself for the first 6, 7 months. And then we brought in a third writer, a ghost writer, who would help us shape the characters and shape the story with all the pieces that we have. She suggested different directions and so on. Then we would take it back and sense it. We was like energetically to see if it was what we were trying to do. Um, and then we started doing the Spanish language version, and then we hired a poet, and the poet helped us with that. So there was a series of touches along the way that made the book what it is today. We any word that was too difficult or needed a dictionary, we took it out because we wanted whoever read it to be taken along in this soft, gentle journey. And then we must have read it, I think, before we published, some 14 times. And we were looking for words that brought judgment. It's like the orchid does not judge.
Yes.
And so anything that was judgmental was removed. Even Mary had some areas. It was like, oh my gosh, Mary is judging the woman right now. It's like, let's take that out. And the way it worked, Viv, she was the woman many times, the 5 women. And remember when she said she was the glass empty and I was the glass full? That was a
Yes.
little bit of how our roles were. I was Mary and she was the women. But what we ended up being through the process is this, even as we were writing, we were changing. And we would cry almost on a daily basis when we read about these women and we became them. It was amazing. And some days, yes, some days it was me observing her go through a process in complete silence and allowing that process to go through and simply capturing it. We took courses and experienced things in those courses that then we captured and brought to the book as well. The blue tape exercise, which you read about, is an exercise that she did to explain herself at a retreat.
Wow.
And so it was just magic in the making. It was just absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful. Even you explaining it, it sounds like a beautiful journey. And throughout that entire journey, how did you both resolve creative differences with yourselves and with the ghostwriters?
Now we are trained to really go inside of us and use all the tools that we put in the book. So at one point, we have a deep understanding of when you have a wound inside of you and something happened, is because you have a perception of something, because life is neutral. So we need to work ourselves. So now is radical responsibility is what has brought us really a deep understanding of who we are today. We don't have a perfect relationship at all, but I understand that I bring something to the table and he has something else. It's not a competition. It's this understanding that, I bring this, and let's see how your point and what your perspective is bring to the table, because at the end we understand that we want to be a team. And this team working together is stronger.
There's
Love that.
incredible amount of respect between us, acceptance, and as she said, radical responsibility. And as far as the other people, you know what was helpful? Our heart was in the right place. And because our heart was in the right place, the vibration and the energy that commanded the project stayed there. So
Wow.
whenever we would receive something from our ghostwriter, it would go through almost like a vibration check. It wasn't intentional. Now I can describe it that way, but we just knew whether something was in the energy of love or it wasn't. And that was the energy that commanded the book throughout the entire project is no, that's not love. No, that's
Hmm.
judgment, or that's judgment disguised as something else. No. And so we started making sure, and to that effect, we respected and learned from each other to hear what everybody. So I'll give you an example. One day we had finished a chapter, and it was the chapter of Jennifer. And in the book, Jennifer is a divorcee, but in the initial writing, she was a widow. And we had finished the chapter. It looked great. And one day she has a dream, gets up the next morning, and she goes, I have something to tell you. We need to change the chapter on Jennifer. We're like, what? No way. This is going to set us back weeks, et cetera, et cetera. But we spoke about it and it made so much sense. And as traumatic as losing a loved one is in a relationship, and right, and the widow experience, the fact of the matter is that the experience that's the most predominant between those two today in the world is divorce. So that allowed us to speak to more people, not to undermine the other, but really to embrace the larger share of the audience that was experiencing that. And that's how, but it wasn't simple, but it was always loving. And that made the difference.
Thank you for sharing that, because what I'm getting from this is that you were both writing a book that was on healing. You're writing a book from a spiritual perspective. It's not only going to be the content that is spiritual, the process itself is going to be like that. You
Yes.
talking about vibrational check, you talking about, is this love, is this judgment, is so important, because it's a product of, the book is a product of you being in that energy of the book before you write the book. So you have to be in that receptive energy. You have to be in that vibration of, what sort of message am I putting into the book? What sort of message are my readers going to get? One thing that you're saying is that the orchid never judges. So there's love there without judgment. And that is what I'm hearing that you both were practicing throughout the journey towards conceptualizing the book. And that's beautiful, because you're basically practicing what you preach. And I enjoy that. And I can feel that when I read it. I can't even wait to finish it, honestly. I'm still reading. Yes. But let's talk more about themes and characters, okay?
Yes.
Now, the opening chapter is emotionally rich and beautifully cinematic. I imagined it like a film. When you were talking about how Mary first started, how she met her husband, all of that, it was beautifully written to just break down her life to that part. I'm not going to give spoilers out to the part where
Yes.
everything changes. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can see this as a film. And I love that that's how you wrote all the women's story. But let's talk about Mary. Her journey from heartbreak to spiritual awakening sets the stage for something much bigger. Why was this important to start the orchid with her story?
Because is the orchid is a place, a safest place, is full of love. So the person who created is not for the business, is for really is the true intention of her is to help any person who enters to her place to have the best experience possible. And she's gonna put all her knowledge, energy around her to really begin to help every flower or plant to really flourish and take the time that you need to. So it's important that you understand that her intention is to discover that everyone who enters in the orchid is love. So that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really important for that character to, and as you know from the book, we don't go in deep into her story. We give sort of the general story because we also wanted to say one thing, which this wasn't about Mary anymore. We
Mm.
meet the orchid 20 years into the future. And when
Oh.
these 5 women come into the Orchid, Mary is not, this is not about me, it's about you. It's about the 5 of you or the 30 of you, because there are 30 and we follow 5 of them. And we wanted to, it's what we hope the world should be like, in a way, that when you stand in front of someone, a friend, right? And all of a sudden, you know those times when you've told your friend your problems and your friend makes it about her, and it's like, but wait a minute, we're talking about me. I'm the one with the help. We wanted Mary to be all for the person in front of them. And there's a line that says that Mary sat in front of the person and treated them as if they were the only and most important thing in the world. And that brings healing. And so that's
Yeah.
why it was important to set the tone, because the tone needed to be of something bigger than us, of something
Yes.
holier than us. And she
Yeah.
was emblematic of that.
Yes. Thank you for that answer. For me as a reader, I loved seeing Mary's story first because it was the foundation of the entire story. That she was the orchid, like you said, she's what created the orchid. And I thoroughly loved how she used her wealth to learn, to expand, to heal, to go in different places, to travel, to soak up knowledge. I was like, this is the perfect example. And um, this is the perfect picture that paints someone that is wealthy and is using the wealth in a way that benefits her and other people. Not only did she learn that knowledge, did she gain all of that heartbreak, that the thing that happened to her opened up a whole other world for her. And as a result, she opened up a whole other world for other people. I love the entire concept of the orchid, paying for the trips, taking you there, setting you up for a week, having your phones, you having the clothes that they give you. It was a proper retreat. And I love the whole concept of you being there on invitation. So you had this exclusive energy about it. No, no, no. It really gave this really good vibe from the beginning because Mary, like I said, she set the tone by you showing her character and what she did with the pain. You were able to let us know that there's going to be so much more that we can expect with this story, especially because it's 20 years after. That is crazy. And that's beautiful. So next question. Nicole, Olivia, Jennifer, Stephanie, and Sophia. Also different, yet connected by this sacred place. Was there one character whose arc was especially meaningful and challenging for you to write?
I'm gonna say for me, the most difficult to write was Sophia
I knew that you
because
say that. I just knew. I just knew.
because yes, because I was Sophia.
Mm.
You see, and really to go and be naked
Mm.
around everyone is 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 really vulnerable. And at one point it's like, are you ready? And is yes, I'm ready, but was very difficult. And of course I keep many things out because I was not ready to really put disclosure. I believe until yesterday, really. It's like it's a journey to really open
Mm.
yourself and
Yes.
really transform that mold that was defining you. So that's why for me was really
Yeah.
profound. Yes, Sophia. Yes.
Beautiful.
You?
I, I wasn't, I, it wasn't, there wasn't one in particular. I think there's a ranking order for them. Certainly Stephanie was difficult. There is a scene, well, Stephanie is sexually abused as a child, and she is experiencing healing from that. I was sexually abused as a child.
Oh,
So
wow.
there was an element of that permeated. And in fact, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's a scene in which Stephanie steps up and finds her voice and is able to speak about it openly. And I remember when we were doing that and we were reading the final version of the chapter, and I'm reading it out loud, and I extend my hands as if I was in a women's circle or in a circle, standing up and saying those words for the first time. I was sexually abused and I experienced this, and that. And when I said that, there's a cleansing that
Happening.
happens at the same
Wow.
time in which you're sharing those words. So we were the women as those women were experiencing that.
Wow.
The other one is Olivia, because I saw myself many times at the height of a career, and I was still looking at the little things, at the things that made it feel and look as if it wasn't enough. And so that was important for me as well. And then the others, of course, I
Yes,
come.
because Olivia doesn't stop to enjoy where she
Yeah.
is. It's like, okay, I have one, and now I need to have two, and then I need to have three.
And I can help, and the world
And,
depends on
and
me.
it's like this never stop ending, achieving outside of you is very
Beautiful.
difficult.
But you know, Nicole, we're not gay, but we've lied to others about who we are. We all do it all the time. We're not authentic. We are afraid of being authentic because we're afraid of not being liked or being loved. So that's what she experiences. And of course, the anger that Rocio mentioned through Sophia. I wasn't to that extent there. She's more Sophia than I was, but I'm a little bit of all of those women, and they certainly live with me. We last comment, we took acting classes with a coach during this time to embody the women, the characters of
Yes.
the
Oh my
book.
To really
goodness.
live them, all of
Wow.
them was really interesting. Really,
That is so
really
beautiful
interesting.
and so thorough. Wow. So many things to take from your answer. Thank you for that detailed, beautiful answer. Because for me, I relate very much with Sophia. So I totally understand. I could see it. And when I asked the question, I was like, I'm sure Rocio is going to say Sophia. And she did. So don't
The
worry.
love
I get
sister.
that. Hi. Now, for me, what I did love was the fact that these are five women that are all from different races, different ethnic groups. And then you have all of them with different traumas. And these are traumas that different people experience. So I love that that was the premise, that these women all come in with different traumas and then they heal. But you know, one thing that I saw that was very clever? The rooms that they are located. When I saw that Stephanie had the mirror room, I was like, oh my goodness, because of her disorder, I was like, wow, this is crazy. No, I really like the book. But for me, with the traumas and with the characters, I think it brings or gives a lot more authenticity that you actually went ahead to even do acting classes, because you had to become one with these characters in order for you to be able to write their healing journeys. You couldn't just write, you had to be in it. So I love the thoroughness because you can see it in the writing. It very much feels lived in. That's why people can say, oh, I see myself in this, because you became these characters to write the story. Oh my goodness, yes. So it definitely is a mirror, this book. It's a mirror, definitely. But I have to give you like a kudos for the book, for the rooms, them being allocated to those rooms in relation to what it is that they came for. Oh my goodness. And I like the nest room a lot. The nest room. Oh, nice.
Fun fact, Viv. Every one of the rooms is real and exists. These are hotel rooms around the world, and we stayed in them. And
No
what happened
way.
is, as we knew we wanted to put them in there, didn't know how. And then our ghostwriters started thinking about it and helped us craft it. So we ended up with the perfect match for these rooms. There's a tree hotel in Sweden, and the nest, the mirror, and Olivia's room, the platform, are real rooms.
Wow,
They're
that's so impressive.
fantastic. And so that also made it quite real as well as the cave. So
Beautiful.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Very, very beautiful, because for me, I've always been into like wellness experiences, and you know, when you go to these hotels that craft these experiences for you. So I sort of felt like I was there already. I sort of felt like, oh my gosh, like, you know, the show, White Lotus, sorry. The show, you
Yes.
know how exactly, you know how the one in Thailand, it felt like something like that. It felt like you're on a journey. You know you're going to be transformed at the end of it. We don't know what's going to happen, but everything is going to change here. That's exactly what the story felt like.
Oh wow.
So my
Yes.
next
You
question.
know, Beep, at one point, what we want really, not everyone has the money to go to these retreats. And we need more people to have the tools. So when you really buy a book for the amount of money who is right now, it's very cheap. compared to going to any other way. So it's very important that people understand that when you're going to have the book, you're going to have that energy of love with you. And that is going to, in the moment that you begin to read it, it's like you are going in a retreat.
Yeah, it does feel
Really.
like that. Yes. And that's why I
Yeah.
said I love that you drew the hotel and showed us where everything was. It really added to the experience because this book is an experience.
Yes.
Now, my next question. So, the orchid itself feels like a character, lush, sacred, otherworldly. How did you envision this space and what role does setting play in transformation?
I love
You
your
know,
question.
yeah, I love all of your questions.
Thank
Wh-
you.
The when we first started thinking about the idea of the book, the place we were envisioning was the Garden of Eden, which throughout history, right, was for many that perfect place that humans belong in, right? And and we had the privilege of traveling around the world, seeing nature. Not far from here, we have tall trees in the sequoias. So
Mm,
an element of nature was really, really important. So we knew the orchid was a place embedded within the power and energy of this natural world. So, and partly is that. Then we also knew that it had to have mountains because mountains are very symbolic of energy and spiritual, and they're very important spiritual mountains around the world. We knew there needed to be water. Um, and so we started little by little building this place. And of course, we already had idea of what the rooms were going to be like. So we needed to build a contour that would accommodate cliffs and tall trees for tree houses and so on. And we also knew that Mary, in her wealth and abundance, would not have built a cheap and inexpensive place for her guests. This is a,
definitely.
you know, I think that it's time to change a lot of our beliefs and our, the idea that spirituality or goodness needs to be given to nonprofits because they're the ones that are responsible for it. No,
Mm,
we are all responsible for it. So we wanted the Orchid to be an exclusive resort that anybody could go to. And for anybody to be able to go to, then we needed to make it available for free. And of course, people will give at some point, give back because this is about
yes.
a chain of favors, really.
Which I
But
liked.
yeah, but we also wanted to build something that you could dream about. And at the end, really, the orchid is inside each of us.
Mm,
And our imagination has no limits.
yes.
So we can build a throne for each of ourselves inside of us. And that throne can be as lush and gigantic and eternal and infinite as we want. And that's what we wanted the orchid to be, this perfect place that embodied just everything that's good in the world and that everybody is dignified to be there.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you for that.
Let me say something else. People, when they use their imagination, nothing can stop you.
Mm,
So it's how we can help more anyone who read the book to begin to really dream and dream themselves how they see each other, how they see themselves, what is the situation. And that's why it's so important for them. It's like, if they can do it, I can do it. And she did it, I can do it. So is this container that is transforming you, but that transforming you in a way that is gonna really set you free for doing whatever you want.
Whatever it is that you wish, your
wow.
dreams.
So
It's
beautiful.
magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is actually because I feel as though okay, it's in my question, but you, with this book, with the stories, it's kind of teaching everybody that the magic is within them. Yes.
Yes.
Not only is the
Yes.
magic within you, every answer to every question that you've been
Mm,
pondering about, in your entire life is inside of you. And all you need to do is stop and listen. And that listening happens when you sit under a tree, when you meditate, when you make space for that connection with you. It may be dancing because you're a dancer. It may be running because you're a runner. Whatever it is, it's inside of you. What we found, our experience, Viv, has been that every answer to every question that you've ever had, everything that you ponder about, is inside of you. And really, what we're trying to do through the book is to create moments and spaces and give you tools to create moments in which you stop. You stop to listen. You listen to yourself. Because most of the time, our biggest issue is that we're so bombarded. We're so stimulated by the world around us. Sometimes through whatever mechanism, but many times because it tells us you're not enough. So if we stop for a moment, and whether it's you sitting under a tree or you're dancing or you're running or you're painting or you're singing, whatever, and we all know what that is because inside each of us, there is something that we stopped doing that somehow gave us so much pleasure.
So true.
And when we return to that, you connect with something, with that energy, this source, spirit, the universe, God. Connect with that and let it speak to you and give you the answers that you so search for.
Wow, yes, thank you for that. And just to build up on that, what I love about the message is that it's speaking of that magic within you, the power within you, how you have everything that you're looking for within you. And it sort of reiterates the way I go through life. As you said, life can overstimulate you, it can confuse you, can distract you, it can make you feel a certain way. But I found that I've always looked at life in the sense of everything outside can't control how I feel inside. And I love that Rocio said everything is neutral. So what we're experiencing, what we're experiencing, what we're seeing, it shouldn't have as much power as what we have inside. And I think that's a beautiful message to spread. Thank you.
Yes, that's why we are doing it every day, all the time, for more people to understand how incredible we are. And we're going to win until everyone is feeling great about themselves.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important that everyone, it's like let's give the tools to more people, help us to share it, because when you feel the best of yourself, everyone around you see it and they begin to see, I want what you have. And what is self-love? I honor my choices. I honor who I am. And I'm original. I'm creative. Even the world are saying me no. And it's all these basic things that really makes your present moment be in complete harmony with all that who you are.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. So let's talk about the philosophy behind the story. The 5 teachings, awareness, gratitude, forgiveness, acceptance, and intention are central to the novel. Why these 5?
Yes.
How did you land on them as the pillars of healing?
We were trying to,
So incredible.
we were trying to narrow down in the simplest way what we had learned. And, our experiences around the world, meeting cultures, religions, people, you start to understand that the wisdom of the world, it's really spread throughout the world. And that if I spend time with a being called Viv in Nigeria, and I give it time to learn about her beauty inside and out, my life is going to be enriched, right? The moment you start to live that way, then wisdom and energy appears everywhere in forms that you never expected. So for us, when we started narrowing down, we picked the 5 things that we thought were the primordial, and then we divided them into 3 sections. The first section is becoming aware. You cannot change, you cannot address issues, you cannot take care of problems or challenges if you don't see them, right? If you're blind to them. And so awareness becomes really critical. Awareness is the act of observing your life and asking yourself, do I like what I see? Or if I don't, do I want to change it? And that's awareness. Then the next stage, gratitude, forgiveness, and acceptance, it's about the tools that you can use to change it. And we learn about them, but we don't go deep enough in them most of the time. But when you dive into these powers, it's really like magic. When you enter into a life of gratitude and you're grateful about everything you have, you will never see emptiness in your life. You will never have a want because you will see that you have everything you need always, all the time, and it's provided.
Beautiful.
So you go through these three, and then at the end, we also say that those three help you recover your energy. Forgiveness. For example, the day I started looking at forgiveness as something I do for me, not for anybody else,
Yeah.
it was like, well, wait a minute. Now I forgive all the time very quickly,
Oh,
Viv.
wow.
It's like, oh, I'm forgiving that because I don't want to give him my energy. I need it for something
So
else.
true. So
Right?
true.
And then the last one, intention. With all that new energy that you've recuperated, that was yours to begin with, how do you want to live and what do you want to do with it? And so
Wow.
that's why we settled on those five.
Very beautiful
And
because
remember, the orchid is the beginning.
that's
It's
beautiful.
not the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like it's actually a journey, these teachings, these pillars, because just as you
Yes.
explained it, I can see why intention is the last and awareness is the first. Without awareness, you wouldn't be able to identify what it is that is really the issue. And you wouldn't be able to be like, you know what, let me even try and dive deep and work on those issues. And then while you're shedding, because awareness brings that process, you have to be grateful for certain things because gratitude allows us to hold on to things to feel secure in ourselves, especially when we're losing that foundation of self because of our awareness now. So I totally get it. Wow, it's so beautiful. Forgiveness. When Rocio mentioned that she wanted to learn how to forgive, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn that as well. That's why I identify with Sophia. I'm like, what is Sophia really about? We have to go on that journey together. But forgiveness is one pillar that I'm definitely trying. I'm trying. I haven't gotten there yet. But it's something that has been running through my mind, which is why I really advocate for this book because, like you said, it's a mirror. Everything that we're looking for, we can find it. And the book kind of like creates that container for healing. So thank you for that.
I thank you.
You described it as we described it, by the way. We think the orchid is a container of love that simply holds that energy around you while you go inside and take care of your own business.
Yeah.
I don't know what you need to heal or change, right? I don't know your challenges. I don't know your limitations, but I know that I love you and that if I hold you and I hold space for you, I also believe you have everything you need to take care of whatever you need to do inside of you.
Thank you. Yes, I totally agree with that and resonate as well. Okay, in the book, there's a powerful line in the description. While external circumstances shape life, the soul and power of existence is internal. How do you hope readers internalize this truth?
Profound.
Look, that line is repeated in different ways throughout. It's also part, in a way, of the dedication of the book. At the end, what we found is that we've been trained to think that we're alone,
Yeah.
that we've been trained to think that we're not enough. We've been trained to think a certain way because it's easier for people to buy things if they think they really need them, right? And our world has been built on that. And nothing against buying, on the contrary, buy as much as you want, but don't buy it to fulfill a basic need inside of you. Buy it because you want to, not because you need it to feel loved or to feel powerful. That already is yours. You have been granted that by the mere fact that you're here with us. And so it is all about reminding people of the power they have inside of them to
Yes.
grow, to create, to be infinite. In a way, when it, and I'm not religious, but I quote many different things. When they say we were created in God's image, what it really means is that we have these powers inside of us of creativity, of everlast. So when you tap into them and when you really find them and connect with them, you begin to do things that are almost, that appear to be supernatural. And we can identify people in history that have done things that have been supernatural. And people are like, how did they do it?
Yeah.
Well, they tapped into it, but they're not the exception. They were the example. And that's the message of the book, that inside of you, dear listener, is this power, this magic, and it's waiting for you to see it. Because when
To
you
use
see it,
it.
it becomes yours again. Right now, it's there. It's almost like tied and sleeping and covered, and therefore you don't know it exists, but it is there. You don't have to look for it outside of you. It is inside of you because you are as valuable as anyone else out there, and you're made of the same material.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for that answer. Now, although this book centers on women's stories, you shared that Ben have found it transformative too. What do you think the Orchid reveals to male readers about both women and themselves?
Has been fantastic to have the experience of a man reading the book, because we've been in society, they separate how they treat men and women. So the book helps the men to really understand more how we've been treat the women. So they begin to understand, and understand more deeply, okay, this helped me or not. So it's a bridge for communication together to really to see, because remember, they put in women some mask and a man the same. It's a mask. You cannot cry. You cannot do this. You cannot. So there is like if you don't have examples, but you believe it. That is, no, this is the only way. And no, the important part for everyone is the 5 pillars applies to anyone. We say women in this particular case because when you educate a woman, that woman can educate a family and can educate more children or a community. And then these women can change the life of hundreds of people, really,
Yeah.
like you are doing, Beef.
Thank you.
So that is so important that we have this kind of conversations for more people to understand how important is the both understanding of each other. If a man acts the way he acts, is because culture, a family, where has been, he didn't know better, right? So if you begin to understand that and the man reads the book, they begin to understand, you know what? I can change too. I can do it different. I can expand myself to have another experience. So that's why it's so important that first you, and when you feel fantastic, begin to feel fantastic, you can have the book to read it together with somebody. And it's like let's have a conversation about this. What do you think? And have really more education about ourselves.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Rocio. Next question. What's one lesson or practice from the Orchid that's changed your own life personally?
For me, meditation. Meditation has been something that I practice now. Before I didn't know how to meditate. Now I know that I need to be still and to begin to scan my body and begin to connect with something else. And something else for me is the universe, is the divine. I begin to feel it. So meditation is a time when I begin to connect with something. That's number one. And the number two who helped me a lot was journaling.
Oh.
Journaling has been something that gave me all the opportunity to let go all that energy who was stuck inside of me. So I've been reading, writing, and burn it. And it's like you need to transform and leave because I don't want you in my body anymore. So that's two has been super key, really all of them, because you begin to use them, depends on the situation.
Thank you.
For me, Viv, it's been to look at my life. I mentioned this earlier as a ball of energy and and to be very zealous of that energy. If I am a battery and that battery is at 100%, how am I going to use that energy today? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm heading into a conversation. How do I want to use my energy? I want my battery to be depleted, or do I want it to remain neutral? And there's a consciousness, a conscious play and mindset that goes into that. So for example, I know that if I get into an argument in which I lose control, that depletes me. I know that if I lie, I'm sending out energy that depletes me. I know that if I hold on um, I do not forgive, that takes away my energy. So I look at myself like, you know how our phone, we have,
Battery.
a little battery on the top and it tells us how much battery you have, right? I look at my life now that way. And I look at everything I do as if either takes away or adds to my little battery sign. And I'm more conscious of that. And depending on where I am, I use, gratitude, forgiveness, prayers. We mentioned in the book the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is a Hawaiian prayer that has everything in it is, um, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm
Yes.
sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Even just saying that in my mind shifts the energy in a room because I'm very conscious of energy. So that consciousness has brought incredible peace because I feel like I'm more in control and more aware every time I do something.
Wow, thank you so much for both your answers. Honestly, I'd like to say that for me, I totally get the concept of journaling and then looking at yourself as a battery. You know what's funny? A lot of people have come on this podcast and they always say that journaling is one of their practices that they do and that nobody should dispel how good journaling is. So definitely I do agree with that. But one thing that does stand out to me is think of yourself as a battery. We are energy. And people don't know how much energy exchange happens every day. People don't know the importance of energetic practice, energetic hygiene, cleansing, grounding, being able to know where you're putting your energy, where you're giving your energy. So that's very important. And I hope my listeners really take that on board because I didn't say anything about meditating because I always run away from meditating. Like, people have come to me,
It's not for
meditate. I
everyone.
know. And I realized that maybe it's not for me.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But these are very good tips.
Because that's the meditation for a runner is when he's running.
It's running, right?
Yes. And I'm an activity
Or
person.
a dancer is dancing.
Thank you. That's mine.
So is when you are there, that movement of energy is giving you recharge your battery, clean it.
Yes.
It's is helping you to do anything. So that's why it's so important.
Yeah.
Not everyone is doing for the same thing.
Yes.
Then God.
Yeah.
Meditating can be when you're in the flow and everyone is different.
That's
What
so
is it, that
true.
one thing that you do that brings you into your flow
So
in which
true.
all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh my gosh, I spent 2 hours doing this and I don't even notice.
Yes.
That for me is connecting.
Yeah. So right. So true. I totally agree. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you both. Now, if the Orchid were made into a film or a series, who would you cast as all the characters?
Ah, that will be super fun.
Yes.
You know, to be honest, Vip, I don't have idea. I don't
Really?
know what the universe is gonna bring, really,
Mm,
because I think this is gonna be so much fun. So
right?
I still, it's like a who's gonna be,
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna be, and it's like a who is gonna take the step to be this person. So I'm really open for the universe to
No,
surprise
for real.
us.
Yeah.
Really.
We've had plays and sessions with artificial intelligence trying to give it a description of the women that, but it just somehow they don't look like what we envisioned. But I
Mm,
think above all, the traits need to be authenticity. These women are raw. They're real, right? So it's going to be about people who can play these characters and truly embody them. It's not producing it for the sake of producing it, but producing it really to transmit a message.
so
And
true.
I think we would have to go back the day that we produced the show. And by the way, we're working
On the show?
both on the script for a play
Okay.
and a script for the first episode of a show.
Yes.
So yeah. So this
Congrats.
is very timely. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I think it's more about, are they in the vibration of each of those women? And that's what we would be looking for. And I
So
think who
true.
they look like would be less important, but more of
What they feel
what they're
like.
transmitting.
Mm, so true.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I haven't thought of anybody yet as well. I'm just looking forward to the fact that it's going to be a series. So thank you so much.
That's so exciting.
Yes.
Yes.
How do you imagine the Orchid, either the book or the concept, evolving in the future? Could it also become a real retreat center? Hint, hint.
Yes, it's incredible, Babe. Ideas are so many.
Mm.
But if you ask me, we need the orchid in every country,
Oh, yes.
in every city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we need to move this the fastest possible. Why?
Mm.
Because if more people feel better about themselves,
Yes.
we can really make a change in the world
So
like
true.
this. So is not doesn't take alone to really begin to see you in a different perspective.
Mm.
So that's why when you put this knowledge very simple for more people, it's like wow. So it's not about achievement, the top. No, it's
Yeah.
what are the experience that you want to create in your life for you to have a fantastic life.
Mm.
Mm.
So it's more deep to understand, okay, what I want, how for me is going to be successful. Successful is when my kid is smiling and having fun. Fantastic. Other people is going to say, when I have this award, fantastic. Whatever it is, it's not a competition because we can create whatever we want.
We see the orchid as a state of being.
Mm.
And if we can create, and this is where we like it to go, if everyone can say, I am in the vibration of the orchid, right? And that feeling that people get, well, or you hear about whoever hasn't gone, there's when they go to, I'm going to go to Disney World. And it's this make believe world that makes you feel really, really good about yourself.
Yeah.
And you play. And imagine if we could do that with a real playground for adults or playgrounds around the world in which you went inside and it actually gave you tips and lessons to live a better life. And that, yes, you had a wonderful time there, but that you would come out and really be transformed and start acting the rest of your life differently. That's how I see, and that's how I envision us impacting. And that's going to be through storytelling, through visual media. It can be
Yes.
through retreat centers.
Oof.
There are no limits. It could be just through smiling, right? Come inside and let's smile together because there's a healing element attached to that. So, and getting deeper, and all of these things are happening around the world, but I see them more concentrated in places where you would go and you knew, for sure knew that that's what you would find there.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for your answers. Wow, so powerful. Last question. For anyone listening who feels stuck, broken, or afraid to heal, what message would you want to leave them with?
You know, I was lost, broken, and depressed, and everything like you cannot believe. So start with a small thing. For me was going out of my bed with the right foot and say, today is going to be a good day.
Lovely.
So it's the small things that gonna make changes. So, but it's important for you to say it aloud. Okay? Because that's the power to create. So today is gonna be a good day and you gonna focus in all the beautiful things that the universe is bringing to you. And, and, and let yourself wonder and experience that.
My advice would be read our novel.
I
We
love that.
really, we really took aim in putting everything we had learned until that time in one place to give you the full benefit of the complete experience. A book can transform you. It doesn't have to be ours. I recommend ours. There are many, many, many. Open yourself up to the possibility and never for a second stop believing that you can. There's a saying, and it was Henry Ford who said it. If you think you can or you think you cannot,
You're right.
either way, you're right. And so, since you have the choice, you might as well vote for yourself.
Yeah.
Think that you can, and then start doing little steps, read our book, find a friend. There are little things that you could just change in your life that would make a ton of difference. And you'll start seeing those baby steps become gigantic strides. And eventually you're running a marathon and winning it.
Wow. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those closing words. This has been a beautiful interview. I thoroughly enjoyed myself and I hope you did too. Thank you so much for sharing about your story, your work, your lives. And I'm pretty sure my listeners enjoyed listening to this episode. I'm pretty sure when it's out. Yes, they would enjoy.
Hi, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. We
They can find us
Don't
in
worry.
in
I'm going to say it.
Facebook and everything.
Yes.
We really want to connect.
I'm
Yes.
so glad to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you. We loved it. We loved every single second of it.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you so much. Now, let me just close out this episode with a nice outro. If the orchid whispered something within you, if it stirred memories, longings, or a sense of possibility, consider that an invitation. Healing is not a destination, it's a homecoming. And as Rocio and Angel have shown us, sometimes the stories we read unlock the truths we've been carrying all along. You can find The Orchid, The Secret Code of Modern Goddesses in print, ebook, and audiobook formats on all major platforms. Gift it to yourself or someone you love. It truly is a retreat in book form. You can also find more information about it on theorchidbook.com. You can check out the book's podcast, The Orchid Diaries, on all podcast platforms as well. Check the show notes for all the links. And if you love this episode, don't forget to rate, review, and share it with somebody ready to awaken their inner goddess. Until next time, stay rooted, stay radiant, and remember, the sanctuary you're searching for already lives within you. Thank you. Oh my God. Thanks, Rocio. Thank you. Bye, listeners.